Disney and Marvel Studios recently debuted a trailer for the film that was an announcement that Avengers Doomsday production has begun. What it showed was kind of interesting, and I'm going to break it down for you. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Go for a ride down the side. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. Marvel Studios and Disney unveiled the sort of teaser trailer announcing the production had begun for Avengers Doomsday, part one of an Avengers, I guess, duology that will also include Avengers Secret Wars. Now, this was a very interesting promo. It opens with a slew of sort of set chairs that actors and directors might sit in on the set. You follow along and they have names revealed of the cast that are participating in the film. And it ends with Robert Downey Jr., who is actually sitting in his chair. He turns and looks at the camera and goes, shh. And then he gets up and walks off, and the camera pans back as he walks away. You see all the chairs for all the cast members, and it comes up Avengers Doomsday production has begun. A few people online were making fun of how many cast members are in this film, but I have to admit, I actually thought it was a pretty clever marketing ploy because, for instance, a lot of the actors may not be familiar with the general audiences. This is a kind of a issue they're running into with Thunderbolts. People know about Sebastian Stan as Bucky, but a lot of the characters who appeared in Marvel shows or Marvel films that didn't do as well, they might not recognize some of them. So, for instance, one of the chairs featured Kelsey Grammer, who, of course, is famous for playing Frasier. He's a well known actor. He's been in multiple TV shows, several movies, and he famously played Beast in X3 or X-Men 3, depending on who you ask. the X-Men The Last Stand, I believe, is its official title. Point is, people know him. That was a huge successful movie, even though it was later kind of critically slammed by yours truly as well. I think it's one of the weakest of the X-Men films, but people still went and saw it, and they know that he plays Beast. So you know about him, but you might not know about some of the other actors and actresses who are presented. So this gets people Googling, and it certainly works because that Avengers Doomsday promo is all over the internet. It's big on Twitter or X if you prefer. It's big on Instagram. It was a social media marketing ploy that, in my mind, was very clever, very smart because people are talking about the large cast. People are even making parodies of it where they're pulling in characters from films in the 90s and saying, Ben Affleck has been announced as Daredevil in Avengers Doomsday. You know, no one would really want that, but it's kind of worked because now we even have these parody features going out about them. So, who is officially announced? And I'm going to go over that here for you. Obviously, the movie is being produced by Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige. It's being directed by Joe Russo and Anthony Russo, who famously directed Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. They are returning to do Avengers Doomsday after the original director, when it was titled Avengers King Dynasty, stepped aside. Now, besides Robert Downey Jr. appearing, who else was confirmed? Buckle up, this is a long list. Chris Hemsworth, Thor, Vanessa Kirby, who will be the Invisible Woman in Fantastic Four First Steps, Anthony Mackie, Falcon, Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, Letitia Wright, who is Shuri and now the new Black Panther, Paul Rudd, who is Ant-Man, Wyatt Russell, who is U.S. Agent, Tanak Hirato Mejia, who was poorly cast as Namor in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Ebon Moss Bajrak, I think is his name. He's playing the Thing in Fantastic Four First Steps. Simu Liu, who portrayed Shang-Chi in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Florence Pugh, who is the new Black Widow stand-in, I guess. Kelsey Grammer, who I mentioned earlier as the Beast. Louis Pullman, Danny Ramirez, Joseph Quinn, David Arbor, Winston Duke, Hannah John Kamen, Tom Hiddleston, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming. That one surprised me. Rebecca Majin, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, Pedro Pascal, and of course, Robert Downey Jr. So, yeah, quite the ensemble, I would say. I'm a little surprised the actor for Namor is returning because he was accused of some criminal activity, let's say, and they definitely released other actors for smaller reasons, but for some reason he's coming back. I don't know why they didn't just use this as an opportunity to cast the character correctly, but who knows? Now, a lot of this really surprised me because, for one thing, Alan Cummings, he is famous for hating not the role of Nightcrawler, but the amount of makeup that went into putting it all together. I do find the amount of casting from the 2000s X-Men franchise to be very interesting. I'm not really crazy about Channing Tatum returning as Gambit. I thought he did okay. I liked the guy in X-Men Origins Wolverine a lot better, but that's a personal preference. I know a lot of people went crazy for him. I did think he looked the part at least. Now, one of the things that people aren't talking about is who is not in the cast. It seems they're pulling from their Disney Plus shows as well as past franchises, even some dead franchises. But one of the interesting things about how this is coming together is we were all told that Spider Man was going to have a really big role. Now, we did hear that Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire might be cast in Avengers Secret Wars, but Avengers Doomsday is supposed to be the lead up to that. I didn't hear Tom Holland's name. I didn't hear Michael Keaton. I didn't hear Harrison Ford. I didn't hear Liv Tyler. I didn't hear a lot of the names that you would think, especially with recent developments within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, would be a part of this. I found that very interesting. Mark Ruffalo, he wasn't listed in this. What is going on here? Thank goodness that some, like the actress who played She-Hulk, I'm glad she wasn't mentioned, definitely. I'm glad the actor who played Scar in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, I'm glad he wasn't mentioned. But, like, where was Charlie Cox? Where was John Bernthal? A lot of actors who are popular in their roles, even if they're not popular on Disney Plus, they were kind of left out, and that is kind of intriguing to me. Daredevil often avoids sort of the more climactic events in the comics. He's been offered a role in the Avengers several times, and he turns them down every single time. So I respect that about Daredevil. I like that he's more of a street level hero. That works for me. I also think that maybe that's indicative that maybe Kevin Feige won out the argument with Columbia Pictures that the upcoming Spider-Man 4 should in fact be a more street level tale, maybe where he crosses over with Daredevil. And also maybe Tom Holland is busy shooting Spider-Man 4, and that's why he can't appear in Avengers Doomsday. I don't know what that circumstance is, but I did think it was interesting. A lot of those actors' names were left out. Now, you might be saying, well, what about all the new X-Men characters, like the ones introduced in X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past? Well, sure, that was meant to be a kind of prequel to the X-Men universe. I did think it was interesting that Hugh Jackman, and like I said, I mentioned he might be in Avengers Secret Wars, but I did think it was interesting he was absent from this film along with Ryan Reynolds because that was their best selling film. It was Disney's top movie of the year. So why would they leave them out? Movie politics is very weird, and I am curious to know what you all think. Who do you think is going to be like sort of a late minute casting? Because again, another one that was absent, Samuel L. Jackson. He was just in the Marvels. He was just the headliner of Secret Invasion, which is really dumb because while he was active in Secret Invasion, he wasn't the main character. Don't get me started on that. I love the original Secret Invasion story arc in the Marvel Comics. Anyway, let me know what you think. Who do you think will appear despite this promo? Who do you think will not appear because they were absent from the promo? I would love to hear your thoughts below. If you like that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, and like I said, leave me a comment, tell me what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me, you can head on over to my locals community. The link is in the description of the video. It is going to transform into my author page where I'll give you updates on my novels and short stories, and I also publish a lot of my short stories there. You can find them in the content section. Normally, this is where I plug my website. However, I am changing my website. It's going to have a complete overhaul. I'm switching domains altogether, and I'll have a bigger announcement about that in a dedicated video. So get ready for that. You can also support me by checking out my novels. I've got the supernatural thriller Cacophony. I've got the fairy tale inspired sword and sorcery series, The Seven Royals. I've got book one, All Good Things, book two, Breaking the Stars. These are two books you're not going to miss, and the third one is on its way. You can also check out my latest novella, Blessed Child. It is about an elf princess who discovers she is pregnant with a human baby, sending her kingdom into chaos. But her father, the king of the elves, hires a disgraced knight who's on the path of redemption to be her bodyguard, and the two form an unlikely friendship. You're going to want to check this out. Pick up one or all four at Amazon.com and leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.